Davon Daquan Bennett, known professionally as King Von, emerged from Chicago's drill scene as one of its most compelling and authentic storytellers. Signed to his friend Lil Durk's Only the Family label, Von quickly gained a massive following for his intricate narratives, aggressive delivery, and vivid depictions of street life in his O-Block neighborhood. His breakout single, Crazy Story, showcased his unique ability to weave suspenseful tales, a style that defined his career. In a short period, he became a leading voice of his generation in drill music, respected for his raw talent and unflinching honesty, which resonated deeply with a legion of fans who saw their own realities reflected in his music. The stories in his music mirrored the violence that ultimately claimed his life. On November 6, 2020, at the age of just 26, King Von was shot and killed during a physical altercation with another rapper's entourage outside a hookah lounge in Atlanta, Georgia. The incident, which was captured on surveillance footage and widely circulated, sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. His death was a brutal end for an artist who was on the cusp of mainstream highlighting the dangerous realities he so often chronicled in his tracks. King Von was laid to rest at Mount Glenwood Memory Gardens South in Glenwood, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, following a private funeral. A large horse-drawn carriage carried his casket through his old neighborhood, allowing thousands of fans and residents to pay their respects in a massive public procession. His grave is marked by a distinctive black headstone featuring a large colored portrait of him. The site is frequently visited by fans, who leave flowers, memorabilia, and messages, turning his final resting place into a memorial for the storyteller of O-Block, whose life was cut tragically short. Basher Baraka Jackson, known to the world as Pop Smoke, was the electrifying force who brought the sound of UK drill to the American mainstream. With his deep, gravelly voice and charismatic energy, he became the undisputed king of the burgeoning Brooklyn drill scene. His breakout hits, Welcome to the Party and Dior, became anthems in 2019. Their menacing bass lines and his signature ad-libs taking over the airwaves and clubs worldwide. In less than a year, he went from a local phenomenon to a global star, collaborating with major artists and poised to become one of the defining voices of a new decade in hip-hop. Tragically, his meteoric rise was brought to a violent and senseless end. On February 19, 2020, while staying at a rented home in the Hollywood Hills, Pop Smoke was killed during a home invasion robbery. He was just 20 years old. The assailants, who were later identified as teenagers seeking to steal his Rolex watch, shot him during the robbery. His death was a devastating blow to the music world, robbing it of a talent who was just beginning to scratch the surface of his immense potential. His posthumous debut album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, became a global success, offering a painful glimpse of the superstardom he was destined for. Following a massive funeral procession through the streets of his native Canarsie, Brooklyn, where thousands of fans gathered to say goodbye, Pop Smoke was interred at the Greenwood Cemetery. He rests in a mausoleum within one of the cemetery's historic buildings. His crypt is sealed with a polished black marble plaque, simply inscribed with his birth name and dates, while the specific location is kept semi-private to afford the family peace. The cemetery itself has become a site of pilgrimage for fans wanting to pay their respects to the young king of Brooklyn. Drill jazzer Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy, known as XXXTentacion, was one of the most controversial and influential artists of his generation. He emerged from the SoundCloud rap scene with a raw and emotionally volatile style that defied genre, blending aggressive, distorted hip-hop with elements of emo rock and R&B. His music explored themes of depression, suicide, and heartbreak with a visceral honesty that resonated deeply with a young fan base. Despite a career plagued by legal issues and allegations of domestic violence, he built a fiercely loyal following who saw him as a voice for their pain and alienation. His versatility was immense, capable of producing both rage-fueled anthems and gentle, acoustic ballads. On June 18, 2018, XXXTentacion was shot and killed in Deerfield Beach, Florida. He was leaving a motorcycle dealership when his car was blocked by an SUV, and two armed men attempted to rob him. A struggle ensued, and the 20-year-old artist was shot multiple times. His death was a shocking and abrupt end to a turbulent life and career, sparking a massive outpouring of grief from his fans and a complex debate about his legacy. In the wake of his passing, his music soared to new heights of popularity, cementing his status as a martyr for his devoted followers. XXXTentacion was laid to rest in a private mausoleum at the Gardens of Boca Raton Cemetery in Florida. Following a public, open-casket memorial that drew thousands of fans, a private funeral was held for family and close friends. His final resting place is a large, gray stone structure, a private sanctuary for his loved ones. The site has become a significant memorial for his fanbase. On any given day, the area surrounding the mausoleum is covered in flowers, handwritten letters, candles, and artwork left by visitors from around the world, a testament to the profound and lasting connection he forged with his audience. Russell Tyrone Jones, better known as OL Dirty Bastard or ODB, was the wild, untamable spirit of the Wu-Tang Clan. He was one of the most eccentric and unpredictable personalities in hip-hop history. His rhyming style was a bizarre and brilliant mix of slurred singing, off-kilter rapping, and chaotic energy that defied any conventional structure. There was no one like him. From his scene-stealing verse on Protect Your Neck to his Grammy-crashing antics and hit solo career with tracks like Shimmy Shimmy Ya, ODB was a true original. He was the court jester and the raw, unfiltered ID of the Wu-Tang dynasty, a genius whose chaos was an essential part of the group's magic. ODB's life was marked by frequent legal troubles and a long public battle with drug addiction. He struggled for years with substance abuse, leading to numerous arrests and stints in prison and rehabilitation facilities. On November 13, 2004, just 2 days before his 36th birthday, ODB collapsed at a Wu-Tang recording studio in Manhattan. He was pronounced dead shortly after. His death was initially thought to be from natural causes, but an autopsy later revealed he had died of an accidental drug overdose, a fatal combination of cocaine and a prescription opioid. His funeral was a massive event in his native Brooklyn, drawing thousands of fans and a host of music industry figures. Old Dirty Bastard was laid to rest at the Rosedale and Rose Hill Cemetery in Linden, New Jersey. He is buried under a large striking black granite headstone. The stone features a large etched photograph of him and is inscribed with his stage name, Old Dirty Bastard, his birth name, Russell T. Jones, and the loving titles husband, father, son, brother, friend. His grave serves as a destination for Wu-Tang fans, who come to pay their respects to the one-of-a-kind artist whose wild energy can never be replicated. Deshaun Dupree Holton, known to the world as Proof, was a foundational pillar of the Detroit hip-hop scene and the best friend of Eminem. As a member of the rap collective D12, he was a formidable MC in his own right, known for his incredible freestyle battle skills and his role as the energetic hype man who was a constant presence by Eminem's side. Proof was more than a sidekick. He was a mentor and a driving force who helped build the Detroit rap community. He founded the group 5 Elements and hosted legendary rap battles at Detroit's hip-hop shop, providing a platform for countless local artists. He was the anchor in the heart of his city's vibrant hip-hop culture. Proof's life was cut short in a senseless act of violence. On April 11, 2006, he was shot and killed at the CCC Club, an after-hours spot on 8 Mile Road in Detroit. An argument over a game of pool escalated into a physical altercation, and shots were fired. Proof, who was 32 years old, was hit multiple times and died at the scene. The incident also resulted in the death of the other man involved in the dispute. His death was a devastating blow to Eminem personally and to the entire Detroit community that looked up to him as a leader and a friend. His funeral was a massive event held at the Fellowship Chapel in Detroit, with Eminem delivering a heartfelt, emotional eulogy. Proof was laid to rest at the Woodlawn Cemetery, also located on 8 Mile Road in Detroit. He is interred in a mausoleum on the cemetery grounds. His crypt is sealed with a simple marble plaque inscribed with his name, Deshaun D. Holton, and his dates. The cemetery is also the final resting place of many iconic figures from Detroit's history, including Rosa Parks and Aretha Franklin. It is a distinguished and peaceful resting place for the man who was the soul of the Detroit rap scene. Adam Yauch, known to the world as MCA, was one-third of the pioneering hip-hop group, the Beastie Boys. Alongside Mike D and Ad-Rock, Yauch helped transform the genre, evolving from their punk rock roots and early frat rap persona into one of the most innovative and respected acts in music history. With his signature raspy voice, he was a crucial element of the group's sound, but his influence extended far beyond the microphone. Yauch was the group's creative visionary, directing many of their iconic music videos under the pseudonym Nathaniel Hornblower. He also founded the Milyaripa Fund, a non-profit that produced the Tibetan Freedom Concerts, showcasing his deep commitment to activism and his Buddhist faith. In 2009, Yauch was diagnosed with cancerous tumor in his salivary gland and a nearby lymph node. He began treatment, which included surgery and radiation therapy, forcing the Beastie Boys to cancel a planned tour and delay the release of an album. He fought the disease for nearly 3 years, exploring both conventional and alternative treatments. On May 4, 2012, Adam MCA Yauch passed away in his native New York City at the age. His death marked the end of the Beastie Boys as a group and was mourned by millions as the loss of a true musical innovator and humanitarian. In accordance with his Buddhist faith and his personal wishes, Adam Yauch was cremated. His ashes were scattered in a private ceremony at a later date. In his will, he famously included a clause stating that none of his music or his image could be used for advertising purposes, a final act that preserved the artistic integrity he championed throughout his life. While there is no public gravesite for fans to visit, his memorial is his incredible body of work and his legacy of social consciousness. A park in his native Brooklyn Heights was renamed Adam Yauch Park in his honor, a living tribute where a new generation can play and be inspired. Lisa Lopes, better known as Left Eye, was the fiery creative force and rapper of TLC, one of the best-selling female groups of all time. Alongside T-Boz and Chile, she brought a vibrant, eccentric energy and a hip-hop edge to the group's R&B sound. Her quirky, high-pitched raps, often punctuated with her signature ha, were a highlight of massive hits like Waterfalls, No Scrubs, and Creep. Beyond her rapping, she was a key creative contributor, co-writing many of the group's songs and conceptualizing their iconic music videos and futuristic outfits. She was the crazy in their Crazy Xe Cool formula, a unique and irreplaceable talent. Left Eye's life was often turbulent, marked by a tumultuous relationship and a famous 1994 incident where she burned down her boyfriend's mansion. Seeking spiritual solace, she began making frequent trips to Honduras. On April 25, 2002, while driving a rented SUV in the country during one of these spiritual retreats, she swerved to avoid another vehicle and lost control. The vehicle rolled over several times, and Lopes, who was not wearing a seatbelt, was thrown from the vehicle and killed instantly. She was just 30 years old. The tragic accident was captured on video. As she was filming a documentary at the time, her funeral in Georgia was a massive event, attended by over 10,000 people. Lisa Left Eye Lopes was buried at the Hillendale Memorial Gardens in Lithonia, Georgia. She was laid to rest in a gray casket that was engraved with a rap she wrote: "Dreams are hopeless aspirations. In hopes of coming true, believe in yourself. The rest is up to me and you." Her grave is marked by a large, upright gray granite headstone featuring a beautiful etched portrait of her. The site remains a powerful place of pilgrimage for TLC fans, who leave flowers and tributes, honoring the memory of the group's unforgettable spark. Nathaniel Dwayne Hale, the one and only Nate Dogg, was the undisputed king of the hip-hop hook. While he wasn't a traditional rapper, his smooth, soulful baritone voice became the secret ingredient for countless West Coast G-Funk classics. If you heard Nate Dogg singing the chorus, you knew the track was a hit. From Dr. Dre's The Next Episode to Snoop Dogg's Ain't No Fun and his own smash Regulate with Warren G, his voice was the golden thread that tied the G-Funk era together. He was a gangster and a soul singer in one, creating a unique lane that made him one of the most beloved and essential figures in the history of West Coast hip-hop. Nate Dogg's health began to decline severely in the late 2000s. In December of 2007, he suffered a major stroke. While he was recovering, he suffered a second, more debilitating stroke in September of 2008, which left him partially paralyzed and affected his ability to speak and sing. He spent his final years in therapy, trying to recover his voice and motor skills. On March 15, 2011, Nate Dogg passed away in Long Beach, California, due to complications from his multiple strokes. He was 41 years old. His death silenced one of the most iconic voices of a generation. His funeral service was held in his hometown of Long Beach, with hip-hop legends like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube in attendance. Nate Dogg was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Long Beach. His grave is located in an outdoor section of the cemetery and is marked by a simple, flat bronze plaque laid in the grass. The plaque is inscribed with his birth name, Nathaniel D. Hale, his dates. He's in heaven with a choir of angels singing his songs. It is a humble and peaceful resting place for the man whose heavenly voice defined a musical era. Malcolm James McCormick, known professionally as Mac Miller, was an artist whose musical evolution was as profound as it was public. He began his career as a charismatic, fun-loving rapper with his breakout mixtape KIDS, but he refused to be confined to that box. Over the course of his career, he grew into a deeply respected and versatile musician, exploring jazz, funk, and psychedelic sounds. His later albums, particularly Swimming, were celebrated for their vulnerability and introspection. As he openly grappled with depression, fame, and addiction, he was a beloved figure in the music community, known for his kindness, his infectious laugh, and his genuine passion for creating art. Mac Miller had been open about his struggles with substance abuse for years, both in his music and in interviews. On September 7, 2018, he was found unresponsive at his home in Studio City, California. Paramedics were called, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. He was only 26 years old. An autopsy later confirmed that he had died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol. His death was a devastating tragedy that highlighted the ongoing opioid crisis and sent a wave of grief through his massive fanbase and the entire music industry, who had watched him grow from a kid into a complex and brilliant artist. Following a funeral service in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Mac Miller was buried at Homewood Cemetery. It is a historic and beautiful cemetery known for its park-like tranquil setting. His grave is in a family plot and is marked by a simple, ground-level stone plaque bearing his birth name, Malcolm J. McCormick, and his dates. His family requested privacy, so the exact location is not widely publicized. But dedicated fans who visit the cemetery often find it adorned with flowers, candles, and other heartfelt tributes. It is a quiet, peaceful place for the artist who shared his struggles so loudly with the world. Ifnias Joseph Asgado, known as Nipsey Hussle, was far more than just a rapper. He was a visionary entrepreneur, a community leader, and a symbol of hope for his South Los Angeles neighborhood. After years of grinding in the mixtape circuit, he achieved mainstream success with his Grammy-nominated album Victory Lap, but his mission was always bigger than music. He was a fierce advocate for economic empowerment, investing in his community by opening businesses, including his Marathon clothing store, and promoting technology and STEM education for local youth. His mantra, "The Marathon Continues," was a philosophy of perseverance, ownership, and building generational wealth. On March 3, 2019, Nipsey Hussle was shot and killed outside the very clothing store he had established as a cornerstone of his community empowerment efforts on Slauson Avenue. He was 33 years old. The man who shot him was a former acquaintance with whom he'd had a brief, personal dispute moments earlier. His murder was not a typical street rivalry but a senseless, tragic act that stole a leader from his community in his prime. His death prompted an unprecedented outpouring of grief in Los Angeles and beyond, as people mourned the loss of a man who was actively bettering the world around him. After a massive memorial service at the Staples Center, a 25-mile funeral procession carried his body through the streets of his beloved South LA. With tens of thousands of people lining the route, Nipsey Hussle was laid to rest at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, a cemetery famous as the resting place for many celebrities. He is interred in a family plot in an area of the cemetery that offers a commanding view of the city he loved and worked so hard to improve. His grave, marked with his name, is a site of pilgrimage, a place to reflect on the legacy of a modern-day hero whose marathon truly continues through his impact. Jason William Mizzle, the legendary Jam Master Jay, was the foundational DJ and anchor of the pioneering hip-hop group Run DMC. While Rev Run and DMC were the voices out front, Jam Master Jay was the group's musical architect. With his precise, powerful scratches on the turntables, he provided the hard-hitting backbone for classics like Rockbox, Peter Piper, and Walk This Way. He was a true innovator, one of the first DJs to manipulate records with a live, percussive energy that made the turntable an instrument in its own right. Dressed in his iconic black fedora and Adidas, he was the silent, cool, and indispensable core of the group that broke hip-hop into the mainstream. After the height of Run DMC's fame, Jay focused on mentoring new artists, establishing his own record label, and opening a recording studio in his hometown of Jamaica, Queens. On the evening of October 30, 2002, Jay was inside his studio when two armed men entered. In a shocking act of violence, Jam Master Jay was shot and killed at point-blank range. He was 37 years old. The murder stunned the hip-hop world, not only for its brutality but because Jay was universally loved and respected. For nearly 2 decades, the case went cold, becoming one of hip-hop's most painful and enduring mysteries. In 2020, 2 men were finally indicted for his murder. Jam Master Jay's funeral was a massive gathering of the hip-hop community, who came to mourn a man who was both a pioneer and a beloved mentor. He was buried at the Ferncliff Cemetery and Mausoleum in Hartsdale, New York, a prestigious cemetery that is also the final resting place of figures like Malcolm X and Judy Garland. He is interred in a beautiful indoor mausoleum. His crypt is sealed with a marble plaque that bears his name, an image of 2 turntables, his signature fedora, and the inscription, "The best DJ in the US of A." It is a dignified tribute to the man whose hands rocked the world. Eric Lynn Wright, known as Eazy-E, was the godfather of gangster rap. As a solo artist and the leader of the seminal group NW, he changed the face of music and pop culture forever. Using funds from his past life on the streets, he founded Ruthless Records and brought together the explosive talents of Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, MC Ren, and DJ Yella with his distinctive high-pitched voice and unapologetic lyrics about the harsh realities of life in Compton. Eazy was a rebellious and controversial figure. NWA's album, Straight Outta Compton, became a cultural phenomenon, challenging authority and giving a powerful, unfiltered voice to a generation of disenfranchised youth. In February of 1990, Eazy, then just 30 years old, was admitted to a hospital with what he believed to be asthma. He was instead diagnosed with AIDS. In a stunning and courageous move, he announced his illness to the public on March 16th. His condition deteriorated with shocking speed. Just 10 days after his announcement, on March 26, 1995, Eric Eazy Wright died from AIDS-induced pneumonia. His death was a monumental shock to the hip-hop community and the world, bringing the reality of the AIDS crisis directly into a culture that had often projected an image of invincibility. It was a sobering and tragic end for one of music's most influential rebels. Eazy was buried in a gold-plated casket, dressed in his signature Compton hat and jeans. His funeral drew thousands of fans and fellow artists. He was laid to rest at the Rose Hills Memorial Park in Whittier, California. His grave is marked by a ground-level bronze plaque which is often surrounded by flowers, photos, and other mementos left by a steady stream of devoted fans. The inscription is simple, bearing his name and the epitaph, "We loved him a lot, but God loved him more." The site remains a landmark in hip-hop history, the final resting place of the visionary who put gangster rap on the map. Christopher Wallace, known as the Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie Smalls, that is widely considered one of the greatest rappers of all time. With his effortless conversational flow, complex rhyme schemes, and incredible storytelling ability, he painted vivid pictures of life as both a street hustler and a superstar. In just 2 albums, Ready to Die and the prophetically titled Life After Death, he created a timeless catalog of music. He was the undisputed king of New York hip-hop, a larger-than-life figure whose charisma and lyrical genius defined the East Coast sound in the mid-1990s and brought it back to commercial prominence. His influence on the art of rapping is immeasurable. Biggie's career was tragically entangled in the infamous East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry of the 1990s, which pitted him against his former friend, Tupac Shakur. On March 9, 1997, just 6 months after Tupac's murder, Biggie was in Los Angeles to promote his upcoming album. As he left an after-party, a Chevrolet Impala pulled up alongside his SUV, and an unidentified assailant fired multiple shots into the vehicle. The Notorious B.I.G. was struck 4 times and was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. He was only 24 years old. His murder, like Tupac's, remains officially unsolved, standing as one of the darkest and most infamous moments in music history. A massive funeral procession took place in his home borough of Brooklyn, where thousands of fans filled the streets, playing his music and chanting his name as the hearse passed by. Following the service, the Notorious B.I.G. was cremated. His ashes were given to his family, including his mother Valletta Wallace and his wife Faith Evans. Therefore, there is no public grave or final resting place for fans to visit. His monument is his music and his enduring presence in the culture of Brooklyn and beyond. Murals of his iconic face adorn walls across the borough, a constant, vibrant tribute to the king who will forever represent the heart of New York City. Tupac Amaru Shakur, known as Tupac, is one of the most iconic and influential figures in the history of popular culture. He was a complex and multifaceted artist, a poet, an actor, a revolutionary, and a rapper of immense talent and passion. His music ranged from aggressive anthems about street violence and social inequality, to tender odes to his mother and introspective reflections on life and death. He sold over 75 million records worldwide, but his impact transcends numbers. He was a powerful and prophetic voice for his generation, a symbol of rebellion and vulnerability whose words continue to resonate with profound power long after his death. The circumstances of his death are legendary. On the night of September 7, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas after attending a Mike Tyson fight. While stopped at a red light, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside the car he was in, and an unknown gunman fired multiple rounds into the vehicle. Tupac was hit 4 times. He was rushed to a hospital where he fought for his life for 6 days, undergoing several surgeries. On the afternoon of September 13, 1996, Tupac Shakur died from his injuries. He was 25 years old. His murder remains one of the most high-profile unsolved cases in American history. What happened after his death is a crucial part of his mythos. Tupac was cremated on the day after his death in a private service. There is no official grave or final resting place. The location of his ashes has become the subject of legend. Members of his group, the Outlaws, famously claimed that they mixed some of his ashes with marijuana and smoked them, honoring a line from one of his songs. His mother, Afeni Shakur, scattered the rest of his ashes in Soweto, South Africa, a symbolic return to the African continent for the son she named after an Incan revolutionary.